Welcome back to Whispers of Wisdom. I'm your host, Carrie Bandel, the owner of Sacred Whispers Studio. I'm a psychic medium, empath, and healer with a passion for empowering people through knowledge and some spirituality sprinkled in. Today, we continue our four-part series on narcissistic personality disorder with part two in the series, Recognizing the Patterns, NPD Relationship Dynamics. Last week, we explored NPD from a compassionate perspective, understanding its roots and manifestations. Today, we'll identify the specific patterns that characterize relationships with narcissistic individuals, patterns that often leave you feeling confused, doubting yourself, and trapped in cycles of hope and despair. Recognition is the bridge between understanding and healing. By naming these patterns, we reclaim our perceptions and prepare for the healing work we'll discuss in weeks 3 and 4. The most foundational pattern to recognize is the narcissistic relationship cycle. This predictable sequence progresses through three main phases: idealization, devaluation, and discard. During idealization, often called love bombing, the narcissistic person treats you as perfect. You receive excessive compliments, intense attention, and declarations of soulmate status. They may mirror your interests and values perfectly, creating the illusion of an ideal match. This phase creates a powerful bond and sets high expectations. Then comes devaluation. Once you're emotionally invested, subtle criticism begins. Your qualities that were once praised become targets for ridicule. Your needs are dismissed, and the relationship becomes increasingly one sided. This shift often happens so gradually that you don't notice until you're deep in the dynamic. Finally, the discard phase occurs when you're sufficiently weakened or when you start setting boundaries. You may face abandonment, replacement, or cruel rejection. Importantly, this phase may be temporary, leading to a cycle of returns and repeated discards that create traumatic bonding. Understanding this cycle reveals something crucial, that the dynamic follows a script that has nothing to do with your worth. It would happen with anyone the narcissistic person became involved with. Within this cycle, specific manipulation tactics create confusion and self-doubt. Let's explore some of them. Gaslighting may be the most disorienting. When you hear, that never happened, or you're too sensitive, or you're remembering it wrong, you begin to question your perception of reality. Over time, this erodes your trust in yourself. Triangulation brings a third person into the dynamic to provoke jealousy or create competition. The narcissistic person might excessively praise others around you, hint at outside interest, or constantly compare you unfavorably. This keeps you insecure and working for approval. Projection is when they accuse you of exactly what they're doing. If they're cheating, they'll accuse you of infidelity. If they're lying, they'll insist you're dishonest. This serves two purposes: deflecting attention from their behavior and making you defensive instead of observant. The silent treatment uses emotional withdrawal as punishment. This isn't the same as taking space to cool down. It's designed to make you panic and eventually beg for reconciliation, shifting the power dynamic further in their favor. Moving goalposts ensure that no matter what you do, it's never enough. Requirements for approval constantly change, keeping you in an exhausting cycle of trying to earn love that never arrives. Perhaps most powerful is intermittent reinforcement, unpredictability alternating between kindness and cruelty. This creates an addiction like bond that neuroscience shows is something stronger than consistent positive reinforcement. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Recognizing these tactics help you understand that your confusion is by design and not by accident or your own failing. It's important to recognize that narcissism doesn't always look like obvious grandiosity, while overt narcissists demand attention and openly display entitlement. Covert narcissists may present as shy, self deprecating, or even victimized. The covert narcissist's need for admiration and lack of empathy are disguised beneath a humble exterior. They may manipulate through martyrdom, like, look how much I sacrifice for you. Subtle put downs disguised as help, or passive aggression rather than direct demands. Both types share the same core wounds and lack of empathy, but their expressions differ significantly. Covert narcissism can be harder to identify because it doesn't match our cultural stereotype of narcissistic behavior. One of the most common questions from those in narcissistic relationships is, why is it so hard to leave? The answer lies in trauma bonding, a powerful biochemical attachment that forms under conditions of danger, intermittent reinforcement, and power imbalance. The unpredictable cycles of abuse and reconciliation create addiction like dependencies. During conflict, your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. During reconciliation, dopamine and oxytocin flood your system, creating pleasure and bonding. This psychological roller coaster creates bonds that can be stronger than those in healthy relationships. Understanding trauma bonding helps remove self blame. Your struggle to leave isn't weakness, it's neurobiological response that requires specific healing approaches. Spiritually speaking, trauma bonds also work at an energetic level, creating cords of attachment that need conscious work to release. We'll discuss that more in next week's healing strategies. From a spiritual perspective, narcissistic relationships carry distinct energetic patterns that many sensitive people can detect before consciously recognizing the manipulation. These include energy vampire dynamics, where you feel mysteriously depleted after interactions, blurred energetic boundaries, where your emotions become entangled with theirs, spiritual weaponization, where concepts like forgiveness or karma are twisted to manipulate, and intuitive interference, where your inner guidance becomes clouded. Many empaths report sensing these energetic disturbances first as bodily sensations, stomach tightness, throat constriction, or sudden fatigue when interacting with the person. Learning to trust these subtle energetic messages can be your most powerful early warning system. In next week's episode, we'll discuss specific energy protection techniques. But for now, simply noticing these energy patterns is valuable information. Here are some red flags and warning signs. Early recognition can save years of pain. So here are key warning signs to watch out for. Excessive charm and perfect mirroring of your interests and values. Stories when they're always the hero or victim, never the flawed human. Lack of genuine curiosity about your experiences and feelings. Inability to accept even minor criticism without appropriate defense. Rapid relationship progression that feels both exhilarating and uncomfortable. Subtle put downs disguised as jokes or help. Disrespect towards service workers or others they deem beneath them. Early signs of entitlement or special treatment expectations. A sense that they're performing rather than being authentic. These indicators often appear during the idealization phase, but are easy to dismiss when you're caught in the intensity of a new connection. Trust your intuition if something feels off despite apparent perfection. The spiritual significance. From a soul perspective, these relationships often appear in our lives for specific growth purposes. They mirror unhealed childhood dynamics that need resolution. The narcissistic relationship often recreates patterns from our early life, giving us an opportunity to respond differently this time. They highlight where we need stronger boundaries. The extreme boundary violations in these relationships can motivate us to develop healthy limits we may have struggled with before. They reveal our own self-worth wounds. The journey through narcissistic abuse ultimately leads to a stronger, more internalized sense of value that doesn't depend on external validation. They teach discernment between genuine connection and manipulation. This painful experience develops a refined ability to distinguish authentic love from its counterfeit. When we understand these soul lessons, painful experiences can transform into profound spiritual growth. Recognizing these patterns isn't about labeling someone else, it's about honoring your experience and reclaiming your reality. It's what we've discussed. If what we've discussed resonates with your situation, please know that healing is possible. Next week, we'll move from recognition to action with healing and protection strategies. We'll explore practical techniques for energetic protection, emotional healing, and reclaiming your authentic self. Until then, be gentle with yourself. The clarity you're gaining is the first step towards freedom. Thank you for listening. And if you'd like to learn a bit more about me or sign up for my weekly email list, they usually refer to the topics that we're talking about in the podcast. Please feel free to explore my website, Sacred Whisper Studio 1111.com. Please share this with someone who might benefit, and consider supporting the show by liking, subscribing, or commenting. Until next time,